Relative to Vice President Kamala Harris, she has an interview with Anderson Cooper post-debate. You write about this in the book. By the way, I've got to do an eats, shoots, and leaves, if you remember the book, and the importance of punctuation. I've got to do an eats, shoots, and leaves analysis of one graph of your book, Alex, and it comes on page 290, and it's getting a lot of attention today. This MFer doesn't treat me like the damn Vice President of the United States, she said to colleagues. I thought we were better than that. I'm being real persnickety now, but there are not quotation marks around that in the book. Is that a direct quote from Kamala Harris about Anderson Cooper?
I will go back to my copy, but my understanding is that it is. That she was incredibly frustrated with Anderson Cooper asking the same question over and over again, which Anderson Cooper, this was the night of the debate, Anderson was like, have you ever seen him act that way behind the scenes? Because if the Vice President of the United States had seen the president act that way on, behind the scenes as he had acted on the debate stage and said nothing, I think it would have been incredibly indicting. But, Kamala Harris, I can tell you 100% was infuriated after that interview.
Vice President Harris, you were a very staunch defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career. Truly.
I think they ought to put her in handcuffs. I'm telling you. She ought to be one of those ones arrested right now as I'm recording this. Right now. Handcuffs. Hands behind your back.
I think your best work is ahead of you for sure, 100%.
I am unemployed right now. No one must speak truth.
So you were a Democrat.
I was my whole life.
Really?
I first voted for Bill Clinton and voted Democrat every single year until, November.
And what do you think of Trump now? What do you think of his policies on deportation?
You know what? I can't tell you specifics about his policies, but what I will tell you is that it was not for Donald Trump, we might still be living next to gang members because everything changed after he was elected.
So you feel a lot safer now that he's in the White House again? I
do, because he's taking it seriously. The Democrats simply ignored it. They said it was lies. They won't talk to people who have been victimized by this.
Now, I know you said you were a gun owner.
I am.
Yeah. Are you a gun owner?
Now we are.
Because of this?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you've turned from like a Democrat, Bill Clinton supporter to now a gun owner. Did you think that would happen?
Never in my life. I'm the last person. Absolutely the last person. I used to have a group called Teachers United for Immigrant Rights. We can't just have anyone cross the border. And if they're showing us that their intentions are not to live in a peaceful way with us, then why not deport them? And so people are arguing about the policies of that. And they're talking about due process. But I think we need to look at, do we interpret due process for people who have crossed our border illegally differently than U.S. citizens? Because I think we also have due process, right? I mean, we're talking about the right to live peacefully.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey. Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. And you try to we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Whoa, I couldn't wait to start the show, y'all. I couldn't wait. Oh, this is good. This is good. It all comes out. I told you. Be ready. It's breaking news every single day, even on Memorial Day weekend. God bless them beautiful patriots around the world, man. Happy Memorial Day weekend to all you guys, man. We send our prayers, love, and condolences out. We're going to play a special video at the end of this video as well. So stay tuned to the end, man. Want to just leave off on a good note. Start on a good note, end on a good note every single show, man. We're going to come on here and have a good time and break the news to you. And of course, this is trending, man, you know. But it's been one of the biggest scandals we've seen, you know, in American history. Auto pen, didn't know who was running the country. And then to come to find out this took place, this happened. You know, bombshell reports all coming out. Things done behind closed doors. The White House completely hijacked. I mean, man, this lady in there don't know what to do, don't know what's going on. She's in there laughing. I was the last one in the room, you know. And says, this MFer doesn't treat me like the vice president. Yeah. Yeah, ma'am. Yeah. Woof. We didn't just dodge a bullet. We dodged a nuclear missile. Yeah. But let's, you know, still giving out word salads. I mean, this is just bad.
When you have the ability to understand the context in which you live, the context in which others live, you're more likely to then connect with them and understand what's important to them.
You know it's bad when they don't even have like a good audio and camera section or network or media there. They're done with this lady, man. And then what's coming out in this book that they wrote in these books, you know, what's happening and what people took what's happened with the officials and whistleblowers coming out of what happened behind the scenes, you know, with this whole Biden scandal. You know, people, we're done. We are done, but the people deserve the right to know everything that took place. Because it was a complete scandal, fraud, incompetence, a complete mess y'all done left President Trump and the American people. Incompetence, man, and look where it's gotten us. Look where we're at. Had to turn this big ship around. Had to patch it up. Had to remodel it. Auto pen. On vacation and fell asleep. Doo-doo stains on the carpet. Ice cream, sticky ice cream all on the floor. Ain't nobody come through and put a mop on it or nothing. Filthy politicians, man. The people come last, spit on. No transparency. We're doing such a great job. Joe, you answered every last question. You've done such a good job, sir.
But if you are in an interaction where you don't have that level of awareness, they will be aware of that. I mean, this is the thing that I've also known about life, and I'm sure everyone here understands. The vast majority of human beings are very intelligent, regardless of their education level, regardless of where they're from, and intelligent enough to know whether when you are looking at them, you are looking at them with a level of respect. They will know that you are someone who is actually interested in their life and their reality and their fears and their dreams or not. They will know if you are looking at them as a commodity, if you are looking at them as a point on the board, as contrasted with looking at them with some concern about whether you can actually improve their life. And that's important, but it requires you to be self-aware enough to understand that you may not understand their life.
Just word salads.
And then do some work to figure out how you can understand it better.
Woof, that is terrible, man. I'm telling y'all, we didn't just dodge a bullet, we dodged a nuclear missile. Man, that is bad. That is bad, man. Still the same, still the same crap. Boy.
I want to be clear. I don't think we're guilty of Monday morning quarterbacking. I was Saturday afternoon quarterbacking.
Yeah,
I
you
said,
really
have a mini Shark Tank-like primary with the best 8 candidates, go from 2 debates with 8, then to 4, then to 2. It would have dominated the media cycle. And by the way, Trump was dominating it because they were afraid to let Joe out of the basement.
Right.
Democrats would have dominated it. And who knows, maybe it would have been Vice President Harris that would have matured. I don't think she would have.
She needed more time.
Well, the bottom line is, we don't want to acknowledge this. She's not a great candidate. I think she did a good job given the hand she was dealt with, but this is a candidate who didn't make it to Iowa 4 years earlier, which says to me, America didn't think of her as a great candidate.
Yeah, I thought she did a lot better. The first 60 days I thought were terrific. I thought.
Look, I think given the hand she was dealt, Vice President Harris, first off, I think one of the great performances in political history was her debate. I think the amount of pressure that she must have felt, and for her to show up and be that composed, that articulate, that deft, practicing with 2 screens, I thought that was one of the great performances in political history. The reality is she was not a strong candidate, and President Biden and his family's narcissism have severely fucked this country. Severely. And that is his legacy. We want to have, and we'll get shit for this because people are correctly feeling empathy for him. But his legacy, in my view, has been ruined by this.
Can I bring that up? Because I got to tell you, it continues. We were pretty outspoken, you first, and then you convinced me. We got so much endless shit. You remember how much endless shit we got. It's driving me nuts. I have blocked so many people on all the social networks because they just can't, they do have a derangement syndrome. I was like, you can't say to yourself what a fuck up this was because it's not the point. I think we should move on, by the way. I think we've got to move on quickly, and there's lots of ways to do that. We made a mistake. We needed to do this. We're going to do things differently. We're so sorry. Please trust us again. And here's how you can trust us by doing, as you said, a robust primary, correct? Here's some answers from us. Here's what we're going to do. This guy, and also saying out loud, Joe Biden betrayed us, right? Just say it. Sorry he's sick, but this is the way it is. He's done that.
Boy. So we got to talk about Kamala Harris. Now facing some backlash over questions about whether or not she knew Joe Biden was mentally declining, because everybody now, all Democrats are now being confronted about some of the bombshell allegations in this book that was written by Jake Tapper. And one thing I love that is coming out all about this is how on fire the fake news media is, and how people are coming out even apologizing and even saying we were a part of this, the enemy of the people. I'm loving everything that's coming after this, man. And the people deserve the right to know and to see everything that is taking place, man. Full transparency. And that's one big reason, another big reason we're rooting for this current administration. We're rooting for President Trump. Expose everything that took place. Expose these frauds. Expose these filthy politicians. Put people in handcuffs. Walk them out with their hands behind their back. They say, Rick, sir, nobody will be held accountable, sir. People need preemptive pardons. Pardons. What you need a pardon for? What do you need a pardon for? Thousands of pardons in a blink of an eye. How did you review all that? Thousands of pardons in a blink of an eye. Come on now. Here we have, again, Kamala Harris now facing questions because she is one of these people that told the American people that, hey, Joe Biden is great, right? Joe Biden is excellent. In fact, and I want on the View, not this on the Spew, not the View, the Spew. Sonny Holston says, "What would you do different? If we elect you, your president, what would you do different than Joe Biden? Because we want something different to happen. We need different things. Oh, I wouldn't do anything different. Me and Joe have done such a great job." Thank you, the women on the Spew. Thank you, Sonny Holston, the race-baiting queen. And they're on the verge of getting canceled. The CEO of Disney, of ABC News, have reached out to them. You seen that video? And those headlines of what they're talking about now. The ratings are plummeting. They have to tone down their Trump rhetoric. You know, can't tell the truth. The Trump lies, the bias. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's all playing out the way we want it to play out, man.
If you happen to criticize who came out and expressed concerns about Joe Biden, her ex, but she has it up on her page.
As a former prosecutor, the comments that were made by that prosecutor, gratuitous, inaccurate, and inappropriate. The way that the president's demeanor in that report was characterized could not be more wrong on the facts and clearly politically motivated, gratuitous. And so I will say that when it comes to the role and responsibility of a prosecutor in a situation like that, we should expect that there would be a higher level of integrity than what we saw.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay,
Disgrace.
fast forward over a year later, we now know it was Kamala Harris who was lacking integrity, okay? And this rabbit hole gets even deeper because Kamala Harris didn't just smear Robert Hur for calling out Joe Biden, but apparently she also smeared CNN as well too, right? Anderson Cooper, who pressed Kamala Harris after Joe Biden's debate about Joe Biden and what we saw on that debate stage. And I just want to remind you guys how testy this interview was, like how pissed off Kamala was that
that mother ain't treat me like the vice president. Yeah, I'm here for this, man.
Performance in tonight's debate. He's been hearing from Democratic lawmakers and others around the country. Some within your own party are wondering if President Biden should even step aside. What do you say to that?
Listen, first of all, what we saw tonight is the president making a very clear contrast with Donald Trump on all of the issues that matter to the American people. Yes, there was a slow start, but it was a strong finish. And what became very clear through the course of the night is that Joe Biden is fighting on behalf of the American people, on substance, on policy, on performance. Joe Biden is extraordinarily strong.
But I'm sorry, on substance and policy and performance tonight, I mean, the president's performance tonight clearly was disappointing for his supporters. CNN is reporting Democratic lawmakers.
Yeah, CNN finally had to come out and say, you know, we got to we got to tell the truth on this one. Yeah, Anderson. Oh man, what a disgrace. You know, yeah, you can't. You know, it comes to a point where you just can't lie after billions of people around the world seeing this take place. I mean, you just can't lie after that point. You know, and they were some were still coming out and just, oh, it was good. He did his best. You know, he's for the people.
Watching the debate were worried about the president's performance. One said it was a disaster. Another called it a train wreck. Those are Democrats, look especially worried that Biden did not punch back on Trump's lies.
Trump's lies.
Listen, people can debate on style points, but ultimately this election and who is the president of the United States has to be about substance. And the contrast is clear. Look at what happened during the course of the debate. Donald Trump lied over and over and over again, as he is wont to do. He
Trump's
would
the
not
liar.
disavow what happened on January 6th.
Come to find out, conspiracy theorists, conspiracy facts. Trump was right about damn near everything. But hey, Trump the liar, the big bad orange man, Hitler, dictator, threat to our sweet apple pie democracy. You know, all right, you know, CNN, Comedy News Network, Cap News Network, you know, comedy. I don't know. It's not even. Sometimes it's funny, but it, you know, only when they completely get destroyed and humiliated. You know, especially when those some Republicans come on. You know, we got to go to school again. We got to repeat the same thing over and over. It's very tiresome, I tell you. You know, when will the fake news get it right? When will you tell the people the truth? Never. Enemy of the people. Enemy of the people.
He was a very different person on the stage 4 years ago when you debated him. You must, I mean, that's certainly true, is it not?
Anderson, the point has to be.
You heard that? Look, you hear this?
When you debated him, you must, I mean, that's certainly true, is it not?
Anderson, the point has to be performance in
good.
terms of what a president does. A
Right,
president who
but that is
incites
what's
an
scary for
insurrection
people
against the
watching this.
Capitol. No, but I got the point that you're making about a
Somebody's
1.5
mad.
hour debate tonight. I'm talking about 3.5 years of performance in work that has been historic.
But
whether
is that
it be
the man
infrastructure,
who we
the
saw
former
on the
guy, the
stage
other guy,
tonight? Is that the
the other
person
guy
you
on
see
the
in meetings
debate
every day?
stage? The person that you saw on the debate stage that has, for the last 3.5 years, up until today, performed in a way that has been about, whether it be in the Oval Office, negotiating bipartisan deals so that we have an infrastructure, a real infrastructure plan where we're putting trillions of dollars on the streets of America to upgrade our infrastructure. Whether it be the person I see in the Oval Office who is meeting with heads of the military and the intelligence community.
You lying?
And in
You lying? He wasn't even there. The auto pen was he was asleep. He was on vacation on the beach. Can we meet with him? Oh, he's not in today. Sorry. Can we reschedule? We'll see about it.
the Situation Room, ensuring the safety of America. The person I see in Joe Biden.
Look at Anderson. He like, is this woman serious? CNN producers back there, they back there sweating. One of the producers, he done took off his headphones, you know. Somebody back there just shaking their head, frown, like, oh man, we can't keep going on with this. This is why our ratings are going down.
World stage, convening world leaders who often ask for his advice. Most recently, just during the G7 conference. So I'm not going to spend all night with you talking about the last 90 minutes when I've been watching the last 3.5 years of performance.
But this was a debate that your campaign wanted. You pushed for this debate at this moment. Obviously, I mean, you can't honestly say, I mean, can you say that you are not concerned at all having watched the president's performance tonight?
It was a slow start. That's obvious to everyone. I'm not going to debate that point.
Yeah, so apparently,
I think they ought to put her in handcuffs too. They ought to walk this lady out. She ought to be fully investigated. She ought to be fully invested. She ought to be taken into custody. I'm just saying, y'all. She needs to be she needs to go to that interrogation room. I'm saying, I'm for real.
Apparently, this really pissed off Kamala Harris behind the scenes, right? That is what has been revealed in this book from Jake Tapper, which is that Kamala Harris did not like the fact that Anderson Cooper had the cojones.
Relative to Vice President Kamala Harris, she has an interview with Anderson Cooper post-debate. You write about this in the book. By the way, I've got to do an eats, shoots, and leaves, if you remember the book, and the importance of punctuation. I've got to do an eats, shoots, and leaves analysis of one graph of your book, Alex, and it comes on page 290, and it's getting a lot of attention today. This MFer doesn't treat me like the damn vice president of the United States, she said to colleagues.
Yeah, he shouldn't have been vice president. Wasn't qualified. Didn't earn it. DI.
I thought we were better than that. I'm being real persnickety now, but there are not quotation marks around that in the book. Is that a direct quote from Kamala Harris about Anderson Cooper?
I will go back to my copy, but my understanding is that it is. That she was incredible.
And part of 2023. And 3 times a week, I don't think I'm exaggerating, we would take a Joe Biden live event. He would be doing a live event in front of some dilapidated bridge that the Infrastructure Act was going to help, or et cetera. And we took it start to finish. Okay?
Fair.
And so if there was a cover up, it was happening out in the open in real time. This was live, meaning undiluted, not unvarnished. We weren't the gatekeepers of what he was saying. We were taking a live shot. And here's what we saw. And I mean, my co-host Victor and I would sometimes joke about it and play this bingo game because we would know that at some point during this talk, Biden would stammer. Biden would have word finding difficulties. Biden would go off on a tangent many times. and Biden would tell an old story. Okay. So that was on our bingo card, and we would make light of it because we listened to it so much. So if anybody was interested in watching these Biden live events, they could have seen all of this, but we chalked it up, at least I did in my own head, to Bidenisms, because Biden, even as a young man and in middle age, was known to have Bidenisms. He often used malaprops. He put his foot in his mouth.
But this was different.
Well, my point is that it seemed to be a continuation or a downslide, okay, or a decline.
At no point did you think this is a man showing clear signs of cognitive decline.
During the debate.
Not until then.
Oh, well, I mean, cognitive decline. Yes.
A man who was clearly losing it in real time.
Well, I mean, let me just say this. I thought that it was the normal decline of age. I didn't think it was a crisis. I didn't think that he wasn't capable of making decisions. But when I saw the debate, it seemed like it was in a different category. The debate was in a different category than what I watched every day for 2.5 years.
So you have no regrets about not discussing the possibility, because Trump's first term, I was at CNN, and there was a lot of discussion about the 25th Amendment, that President Trump was losing his mind. So it's not as if CNN doesn't comment about such matters. They did for several years.
My president lose his mind.
I think that
My president ain't lose his mind. My president was right.
that was based on decision making. So that wasn't based on stammering and weird word finding difficulties. That was based on decision making, which seemed
about this. Joe Biden. There is a call in this country, in the United States, there is a need for legislation to mandate that American presidents provide all of their health information under threat of perjury, because we can't be lied to about this sort of thing. We can't have a group of unelected aides running the country if there's a 2 a.m. phone call. It needs to be the person that's elected. So this goes beyond Joe Biden. It should be relevant to Donald Trump and whoever comes after Donald Trump. I agree with that 100%.
There needs to be transparency by leaders when it comes to their health. And I would argue that some of the skepticism we've heard from Democrats, Republicans, and doctors, I have no idea what's true, what's not true. All I can say is, like, that lack of confidence in the transparency that's being offered didn't come out of nowhere. And three, like this, or C, I'm really bad at that. And C, this applies to Donald Trump too, and every future president. Donald Trump has released like nothing about his health.
Right.
And then now we look what just came out. Was it month before last month? Yeah. Was it April? I believe it was April, because we did like 2 or 3 videos on it. But anyways, Trump releases his full medical records, the doctor, everything. Very transparent. He releases full health sheet, his full body health exam live to the public. Woo. Yeah. You just can't make this up, man. He took a cognitive test. He did test after test. Release it to the public. As liberals and Democrats and some of the fake news say, oh, Trump this, Trump has a limp in his leg. Oh, Trump is dragging that leg. Oh, Trump is falling asleep. Oh, Trump is declining. Oh, he's still Hitler, threat to democracy on day one, but day one was years ago. Yeah, get out of here.
There's not going to be any CNN interviews, so he backed down. And now, in a very cowardly fashion, now he comes out and he is blaming the White House cover-up. But what he doesn't tell us is the White House cover-up would have been impossible had not CNN, MSNBC, PBS, NBC, ABC, CBS all conspired with the White House staff to not just downplay Biden's cognitive decline, but attack people. Bottom line, they had more interest in protecting this left-wing administration who was using this waxen effigy of Joe Biden. And for someone's
fake news
purposes,
media.
We don't know who was running the country, who was giving him the auto pen executive orders. We don't have no idea who those people are. We have a suspicion it was the Obama crowd. But nevertheless, they didn't care about that. They did not care about that. All they knew is that this was a left-wing agenda and it had to be preserved by any means necessary. And that included lying, covering up, and worst of all, demonizing and attacking people who sought to tell the truth about Joe Biden. And now he wants to say what? I have a little humility. I may or not. I sort of kind of was part of the cover-up, but now the real Jake Tapper is in this book, who's now telling truth to power. No, you're telling truth to impotence. Joe Biden has got cancer. He's written off. He's in decline. The family is disgraced. It's easy now to write about that. It was hard and would require intellectual courage, moral fortitude to say this when he was the most powerful man in the world. And so, Jake Tapper, you failed that test, because this is one of the greatest acts of duplicity, moral duplicity I've seen in my entire life. And it joins a long list of collusion, capers, conspiracy, bogus, frauds, ruses. Jake Tapper, you should go back and see, what was your position on Russian collusion? What was your position on Hunter laptop disinformation?
Russia, throw the laptop out in the middle of the freeway. The gun has one in the chamber, on the dresser. There's crack cocaine everywhere. And somebody's in the bathroom getting a hand job, foot job. I don't know.
What was your position on the Steele dossier? What was your position on the 51 intelligence authorities? And I think in every one of those cases, you failed the test of truth. And you really did this time in the greatest cover-up in the history, as I said, of the American presidency. And it's not over yet, because we're going to learn more and more tragically about Joe Biden's medical condition, and to see if not just whether the cognitive disabilities of Biden were cover-up, but whether his prostate metastasized cancer contributed to that, and that source was also covered up.
Yeah, so
you just can't make this up. You just can't, y'all. Well, let me know what y'all think of all this, man. You know, let me know what you think of all this. Glad we get to come on here and report on this, talk about it, have healthy conversations, keep it real, you know, laugh. You know, I kind of want to be, you know, y'all know how I am, man. I know a lot of this stuff really, it's dark, it's sad, it's sick, disgusting, it's corruption, it's a disgrace, you know, and that's one reason why I try to come on here and bring some light to everything, and bring some good vibes and energy, maybe make you laugh a little bit. You know, because politics is a dark, dirty game, man. But what these people did, it's bigger than what it is. It's not. It's worse than corrupt. You know, the biggest scandal in our lifetime, most likely. You know, but I love you guys. God bless you all and your family, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Have an amazing. Happy you know, Memorial weekend. And before you get out of here, I want you to check out this last video as we end the show. Check this out. Enjoy this next upcoming clip, and I will catch you on the next one. Check this out.